We're going to go meet Bob Roper, who's the retired county fire chief, and he's also the chair of the California Fire Safe Council, and he's going to tell us what we need to do to fire harden our homes here in Ojai and make us safe from fire.
Good morning, Betsy. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Bob?
Good. What we want to do today is take the opportunity of looking at a few homes here in Ojai and looking at how we can harden the homes. What we want people to know is what can they do to make a difference at each of their homes, so that whatever they do at their homes, collectively, it will actually increase the non-flammability or the hazards to the community at large. So the number one thing that people have to think about is they go, well, we're in the middle of the city, what can burn? But they also have to think about earlier this year in 2021, there we had a large windstorm. And as we walk around, you have to think after a windstorm, do you see leaves and areas that an ember could fall on? Mm-hmm. And if you can find those after a windstorm, those are the same embers that can find by your house. So that's something everybody needs to keep in their back of their mind. When we get to a house, one of the things, part of hardening a home is this. Number one, is there access for fire trucks and first responders to get to your home? Number two, is your address readily available in front of your house so that they can see, if you call 911, they can see where to go. But as we look at this home, one of the first things we look at is, does it have defensible space? A lot of people think that that's just grass or brush that we need moved from the house per the county fire ordinance 100 feet. But you also have to look at ornamental landscaping. If you have certain ornamental landscaping that could contribute to a fire spreading, then you need to treat that. Down below, the mulches and stuff, here's a piece of bark that's fallen from the oak trees. This is the type of stuff that embers can fall in. If it gets to the wood fence is attached to the house. That's another area that we need to look at the transmission of fire. Mm-hmm. This is actually really what we want to see around a home. You have the pebbles or the rocks around the home. The home has wood siding. Mm-hmm. You can see that if embers land here, there's no way for the embers to attach to the wood siding here. But if you have vegetation, green waste in this 0 to 5 foot zone away from the home, as an ember lands, it can go to the house. So we look further at this house and we see that it has rain gutters. So if you were to put your hand up in the roof, in the gutters, you could probably pull out acorns and leaf litter. Imagine as the embers are falling into this area, in this environment, that catches on fire, the gutters will start to droop, they'll melt, and it will carry fire to the underside of the eaves to the wood siding. The biggest thing with the gutters is really look at the type of construction of them. This is vinyl, there's metal gutters, there's copper gutters, and so forth. There's nothing wrong with gutters, but they do need to be maintained. They need to be cleaned out, and we recommend some of the fine mesh screens that go over the top. That shields debris from getting in. It also keeps the embers from getting into the gutters to causing any problems. So again, nothing's wrong with gutters, but like a lot of things, they all have to be maintained. As we walk up, we see, what do we have on the ground, which is around Ojai? Leaves, okay? So if the embers land there, what does it get to next? It gets to like this lattice covering, okay? Mm-hmm. That's underneath a wood deck, okay? So this again is an area for it. What people have done is they put this screen mesh on, and this is 1/4 inch side screen mesh. This is great, and people put it in to keep rodents out, okay? It's not highly effective at keeping embers out. You got like 6 inches of leaf mulch here. Embers land in this. What's right here is a vent for under the house. This screen mesh is still not small enough to keep an ember out. As the heat comes up, the flames come up, it's going to go in this area, and you can put your hand here right now, put your hand up, and you'll feel cool air. It's sucking the air in under the house, which will bring the embers and will bring the fire to under the house. When it gets there, you have a fire under the house that takes out the home itself. You can see the leaf litter up on the roof. That is a maintenance issue. That leaves on the ground, all that has to be taken off the roof and away from the ground here. You can see the overhang of the eave of the roof here. Those leaves on the roof ignite. They're right under the overhang of the roof. Now it gets into the attic. Okay, so again, it's a transmission issue about where does an ember fall. Then the next zone is from 5 feet out to 30 foot out, and that's called zone 1. That's where you want to make sure that your ornamental vegetation, if you have a palm tree or a pine tree, all the leaf litter and everything, and the trees are pruned up. Then you got your whole rest of your property out to the 100 foot, which the county requires for a defensible space. You want to eliminate the vegetation in that area, that's the dry stuff. Still, ornamental shrubs, trees and stuff that are out into that far area can remain. There's no problem with that. They just have to be limbed up off the ground. What we want to try to do is prevent the ladder fuels, the light grasses and the leaves, from climbing up into the vegetation, getting up into the trees. You can see there's a large pine tree here. If the vegetation gets to that pine tree, it now goes up 50 feet up in the air. Now with the wind, it's going to cause more embers. So if we can keep any of the ground fire from climbing the ladder to get to your elevated ones that cause more embers for your neighbors and so forth, that's really what we want to get to. So let me just talk about the checklist of what we look for when we come around home. We look at, first of all, we talk to the homeowner and we go, have you ever been in a wildfire? Do you know what happens? Do you know how to get alerts and so forth? We need to bring up their situational awareness. And that's why everybody should get a copy of the Ready, Set, Go program that the County Fire created and maintained. You can get it off the website or you can get it at the local fire station. But that tells you how to prepare yourself, how to prepare your house, how to prepare your go kit in case you need to go, how to monitor the environment, and then when you're told by law enforcement to leave, go early, okay? It gives you, instead of a panic, it will raise your heightened sense of awareness so you know what to do during that time. But we look at, on the outside of a home when we get here, we look at number 1, how will embers hit the house? Because it's not the flame front that ignites a home, it's the embers in front of the flame front. As those embers happen, it catches this house. Then you can just look down here, there's a next house and then a next house. This is what we call an urban conflagration. And the density of the structures next to themselves is far worse when they ignite. It carries from house to house to house through neighborhoods. That's why you'll see a lot of the pictures of wildfires, you'll see the trees are still green. The trees didn't burn. It's the ground fuels getting to the structures and then carry the structures that burn one after another, okay? So you have to have that area separation. We also have to look at the chimneys. Is there a spark arrestor on the chimney? Is there enough clearance between the trees? We don't want to take out trees, but what we do want to do is, again, limit the trees, and for the health of the trees, to keep disease out of it, we want the trees there for the shade. That helps this whole environment. So we also look at eave vents. We looked at the other house where we had vent screen under. It's also the attic vents. You want to make sure that it's at least 1/8 inch separation in the squares of that screen. That has been proven to keep the embers out of your attic altogether. The biggest thing for people to look at is on a fence. You can look here where leaves accumulate. If leaves will accumulate there, that also is an indication that what happens is as an ember tries to find somewhere to land, it will land in the same spot that your leaves do. So if you look up here, you got leaves going, embers hit here, it could ignite the fence, okay? So that's the easiest thing for people to do. Walk around your home, look at, back over here, look at all the leaves around that piece of wood by that planter. That's, again, where an ember is going to land. A lot of people think about defensible space being the weeds, the grasses, but what's also been proven is I could clear my 100 foot away from a home and give you defensible space, but then I move the boat next to the house, the RV next to the house, another car next to the house, and if the embers hit those, it invalidated your whole 100 foot that you had.
Bob, could you talk about what the average homeowner needs to do right away?
First thing they need to do is get a copy of the Ready, Set, Go program from the county fire, okay? It'll raise their situational awareness, and in there's check sheets and other things they can do. They can go to the Ojai Valley Fire Safe Council, and they have a checklist of what they can do. But if they think of this in two phases, one is phase one, you haven't done anything, now there's a fire. So phase one, it's a maintenance issue. Walk around your house, take care of removing leaf litter from your roof, from that 0 to 5 foot zone around your house. Take the couch cushions off your furniture, move your furniture away, move your firewood away from the house. Just think about if an ember lands, where can it go? Phase two is a little more stringent. This is where you need to change your attic vent screen size, your subfloor vent. You need to do some construction changes at the house, change windows, skylights, that type of thing. But people naturally sometimes are resistant to doing things. So if they think about phase one, phase two, and at least be aware, follow Ready, Set, Go, we'll be miles ahead.